Welcome back and thank you for staying with KTN Prime. Now, if you've been active online, especially on X, you must have come across the term jurispesa, a term used to describe the alleged exchange of money between litigants and judicial officers as a condition to offering favorable decision to litigants. Cutting the long story short, this term jurispesa encompasses the perceived deepening public trust in the judiciary.
Now, the Kenya Magistrates and Judges Association has accused former Law Society of Kenya presidents Ahmed Nasir Abdullahi and Nelson Havi and other legal practitioners of systematic and sustained online attacks against the judiciary and its leadership. This is what we want to talk about right now, and we are joined by Tom Mac Orlando, who is a principal magistrate and the Secretary General of the Kenya Magistrate and Judges Association. Good evening and karibu sana.
Good evening, thank you.
Well, thank you for your time. Let's just start straight off the cuff. The bench has been accused of a couple of issues: corruption, gross misconduct, among others. Do you dismiss these claims in their entirety? Is there some truth to this? How do you respond to these allegations that have been posted online?
Thank you. To start with, you find that the attacks are not backed by any tangible evidence whatsoever. Because today, if I was to ask those people to lay bare the cases they are presented to the Anti-Corruption Commission or to the Judicial Service Commission of judges and magistrates who are corrupt, you will find there's none. So you will find that these allegations are only what we can call hot air. They are not backed by any factual evidence. They are not backed by any material evidence. And it is just a means of maligning the judiciary and trying to taint the judiciary badly in the eyes of the public, so that their motive is clearly to attack the Chief Justice. That is the motive. The underlying motive is just to show that the Chief Justice has failed, which is clearly cyberbullying of the Chief Justice. So we call upon them to lay bare tangible evidence of the cases of corruption they are alleging is eminent in the judiciary. Thank you.
All right, just, correct me if I'm wrong, but here, Nelson Havi, the senior counsel, did write a letter on 13th December, saying that I have today submitted a detailed affidavit to the Judicial Service Commission and asked it to recommend to the President of the Republic of Kenya the formation of a tribunal to remove Honorable Justice Alfred Mabea from the office of the Judge of the High Court of Kenya. And the letter continues. Would one make such claims without evidence?
Of course, the evidence has to be tendered in the right forum. For example, now you present to the Judicial Service Commission or the Anti-Corruption Commission. But social media is not there to prosecute magistrates and judges. That's why we are saying tender the evidence, lay them bare, let them be investigated. We have seen in the past judges and magistrates who have been removed because of corruption. We are not saying that it is totally not there, but where there's evidence, the Chief Justice and the Judicial Service Commission have taken action.
So let me get you right.
Yes.
Your problem is not the fact that there are complaints. Your problem is the channel of the complaints. So is it wrong to raise it publicly?
You see, it is wrong to go publicly without any tangible evidence and start saying that the judiciary is rotten. For example, if these allegations or these claims were genuine, then they would have started with the topmost, where the alleged corruption is higher. In fact, the last index showed that the police and the executive are more corrupt than the judiciary. Why has he not, or why have they not touched the Commissioner of Police or anybody in the executive? Why the CJ?
So you have agreed that the judiciary is corrupt?
No, I'm not saying that the judiciary is corrupt. What I'm saying is, of course, any institution, we have elements of corruption. We cannot rule it 100% that there's nobody who is involved, because we have seen in the past even judges being removed on those grounds. So we cannot just say that there is none. But we are saying that the attacks as they are coming right now is ill-intended to attack the person of the CJ. And it's purely cyberbullying. And to taint the name of the judiciary badly in the eyes of the public, so that the people may lose confidence in the judiciary, considering that we are having elections in just about 2 years' time. So the whole thing is choreographed to taint the judiciary in a bad picture, and then come up with some other things and say, no, we cannot go to the judiciary because of the corruption there. We want other things. You get it? So what we are saying is, we are not disputing that there might be 1 or 2 cases. And what we are saying is, there's a channel for dealing with those cases of corruption. 1 is the Judicial Service Commission, 2 is the Anti-Corruption Commission. And we have seen judges and magistrates being removed.
Now, as you've said, there are formal avenues of filing a complaint, JSC amongst them. How best do we perhaps take a look at the challenges? Because the word out there is that there are challenges when it comes to filing a complaint, that there are legitimate frustrations in terms of the bureaucratic delays, the ineffectiveness in addressing judicial concerns promptly. So how best do we enhance some of these challenges in order to ensure that justice is dispensed in a timely manner when a formal complaint is raised?
Thank you. I think the judiciary is the most transparent institution when it comes to dealing with complaints. We have channels. We have the Judicial Service Commission, we have the Chief Justice, then we have the Office of the Judicial Ombudsman. All these deal with the complaint. And in fact, you don't even need to get some legal drafters to draft for you the complaint. Even if you just write one word letter, 110, we have seen the Judicial Service Commission, the Office of the Ombudsman take action. In fact, the action is taken within 14 days from the date the complaint is received. And that is clearly stipulated in the system. So that when you complain, each and every complaint is addressed, it's answered. 1, it is received, it is investigated. If the judicial officer is required to answer, you are called upon to answer. And the complainant is also informed that this is the action we are taking. If it is a matter of appeal, the person is advised, no, this one, all you need is appeal, because we don't see any tangible evidence in this.
Okay.
So the process is very simple and very clear. You just write even handwritten, one word, I have a complaint against so and so because of this, and send it to the Deputy Chief Justice, who is the judicial ombudsperson, or send it to the Chief Justice. It will be acted upon within 14 days.
Does the Chief Justice sit in the JSC?
It's the chair.
So
she's the chair of the JSC. Okay,
so if someone has a complaint against the Chief Justice and they present it to the JSC, in which the Chief Justice sits as the chair, are you taking a look at the issue there? You're filing a complaint, and the person who's supposed to dispense of that complaint as the chair.
The chair? Yeah. Very simple. When it comes that it is a complaint against the CJ, then the CJ will have to recuse herself from that sitting.
Okay.
And let the other commissioners deal with the matter. More so, if you feel that you have more tangible evidence, like the issues of corruption they are saying, send it to another body. There are other bodies other than the Judicial Service Commission. Judicial Service Commission is just one body that deals with complaints against the judicial officer and judges. There are other bodies like the Anti-Corruption Commission. Why don't you send it there? This is very independent. The Chief Justice doesn't sit there. We even have the Office of the Ombudsman. Send it there. Leave alone the judicial ombudsman, the country ombudsman.
All right.
Yes.
KMJA condemned the online attacks, terming them unacceptable, underscoring that the public criticism serves to undermine and degrade the work of the judiciary and its officials. 2 questions from that. Number 1, how does public criticism undermine the work of the judiciary? Second, where do we draw the line between public criticism and cyberbullying? At what point is it too much?
You see, when the complaints are not backed by any evidence, then it becomes a way of trying to taint the judiciary in a bad way in the eyes of the public. Just like when you call a child a fool. Each time you call a child a fool, the child reaches a point whereby they can't do anything knowing that I'm a fool anyway. That is the same thing. If you keep on saying the judiciary is bad, the members of the public, without even investigating to know the truth, will see that the judiciary is bad. And it will be a countrywide thing that the judiciary is bad. That is why we are saying, instead of going to the cyber, or instead of going to the online complaint, why don't you follow the right channels? If you follow the right channel, it will be done publicly. When a judge is being interrogated, it is done public. In the media is there. When a magistrate is being interrogated, it is done public. So you find that what we are saying, why we are saying that it is a cyberbullying, is that it is targeted at the Chief Justice, knowing very well that judiciary is not number one when it comes to corruption.
Okay.
There are other bodies that are more corrupt. Why have they not targeted and said, we want the police commissioner to get out because the police service is taken to be the highest in corruption? Why only the Chief Justice? It is clearly, you see, when I don't want to talk about somebody, but there are people who are engaged in this, who even wrote the complaint before the Chief Justice was employed. During the interviews, they complained. And the Judicial Service Commission, when employing Justice Martha Koome, looked at their complaints. But they're still persistent in carrying on those complaints.
Okay. You've mentioned that if you tell a child over and over that they're a fool, then they accept that. But perhaps, looking at it from a different perspective, it's a challenge for the child to do better. Are you looking at it from that perspective, perhaps?
For us in the judiciary, we have engaged even the LSK. When there were complaints, we engaged them. And we came up with a clear strategy on how to improve. And in fact, we agreed to form a joint committee between LSK and KMJA. We said, now KMJA and LSK, we form a joint committee to deal with complaints against judicial officers, and also complaints by the judicial officer against LSK members, so that we see the best way to improve the service delivery. So we are ready to improve delivery of service. We cannot say that we are 100% perfect. We know there are loopholes and here and there. But what we are saying is the way it is being addressed is wrong. And we have discussed this with the president of LSK. We sat with her and we discussed and we agreed that that is not the best way to go about these issues.
Well, when's the last time that a complaint has been received by the JSC, has been processed, and thereafter the judge or the magistrate has been fired? When's the last time that this happened, in case you have?
Even last year.
Even last year.
We had a judge who was fired.
Also, so it's something that is working.
Yes, it's working.
So for those who are trying to poke holes into that particular process, what do you have to tell them?
What we are saying is, please let the bodies which are put in place to deal with the indiscipline or corruption in the judiciary and in the country, deal with it. Trust the process. And if you don't, you find that your matter is not being addressed well, we have higher bodies and other bodies. So I want to guarantee the members of the public that the Judicial Service Commission, under the leadership of Justice Martha Koome, deals with all complaints timely and amicably, so that everybody goes out satisfied. Even if you are told your case is not really a complaint that can amount to dismissal, you know that it has been handled. So trust the judiciary, trust the Judicial Service Commission, trust the President of the Judicial Service Commission, Chief Justice Martha Koome, to do the work. Give her space. Let her do the work. We have several reforms that she has put in place. For example, when she came up with the idea of no adjournment in the judiciary, And we magistrates and judges, we were told no adjournment. And if you have to adjourn, you must give the reason to the CJ herself. But the LSK came up in arms and said, no, that cannot happen. That is dictatorship. We must get adjournments. Now they are the same people again who are complaining about adjournments. So you find that this thing cannot be sorted in the social media. It cannot be sorted in the social media. We can sort it in our ways. LSK and KMJ, we have sat down. We have come up with a program on how to deal with these issues. Let the president of LSK take charge.
Okay. Even as you continue mentioning the fact that this cannot be sorted out on social media, are you open to criticism?
Of course. Being a public figure or being a public body, judiciary is always open to criticism. Positive criticism. Criticism that builds. Okay. But when the criticism starts from the point of resign, then you see that is not positive criticism. If it comes, improve, correct, deal. You see, that is positive criticism, and we accept. But when it starts from the point of resign, you get it?
Yeah.
Then it is not positive at all. It's easier to be positive. It is negative criticism. And negative criticism kills the motive. It kills the good intentions that are there.
Okay, looking at all the issues that have been mentioned by various people, not just the former presidents of LSK, but Kenyans as well. From where you sit, how best then can we balance what we call judicial independence with the principle of judicial restraint?
When we talk about judicial independence, it emerges from the point that a judicial officer is supposed to deliver its rulings or its judgment, or is supposed to handle the matters without interference whatsoever from whatever quarters. And therefore, when it comes to judicial independence, we really don't think that there's a big problem when it comes to criticism. Because criticism does not interfere with the independence per se. If it is positive criticism, it doesn't. Unless now it is targeted in twisting the judicial officer to make decisions in a certain way, which then interferes with the independence of the... So if positive criticism, I don't think it really affects the independence. But when now it is aimed at twisting, for example, if there's a matter before court and some people are doing it to twist the judicial officer or the judge to rule in a certain way, by so criticizing the work of the judicial officer, then it interferes with the independence of the judicial officer. As so far as I can say that there are elements of interference we have seen in the past, like we have seen somebody going to court and saying this judicial officer doesn't know what he's doing, they are stupid, they need to go to school. You get it? Simply because they did not get the orders that they wanted. Then that interferes with the judicial. And they go into the social media. So the next time this person comes before the judicial officer, they fear. And because of fear, and because of fear of complaint, then they may rule in a certain way. Then that is interfering with the independence of the judicial officer. So far, we are appealing to the parties concerned to stop it and come and follow the channels. Because if you find a judicial officer is corrupt, is not up to the task, follow the right channel and complain. And we have seen judicial officers and judges being removed because of those reasons. So I want to say that these attacks, to an extent, may interfere with the independence of the judicial officer, especially if there's a matter before the judicial officer being handled by these people attacking. And from where I see it, I think this is bigger than just the cases we are seeing. It is something that is being organized looking further, the political 2027.
Okay. Public perception is important, and it goes without saying. So when we hear of one or two instances where judicial officers are in one way or the other implicated in corrupt practices, it's definitely worrying, especially for a democratic country like Kenya that is based on the rule of law. So as a deterrent measure, because they say you can nip it at the bud and stop it from happening. How best do we stop these corrupt practices from happening, even though there are one instances or two instances, from happening within the judiciary? Because going from what has been said out in the public, whatever stopgap measures have been put are not enough deterrent measures, that there seems to be still one or two judges who might get implicated in corruption malpractices. As you mentioned, JSC prosecuted one case last year and the judge was found guilty. So how best do we deter, stop it from even happening?
To be honest, we cannot say that we can stop it 100% because we are human beings. And unless now the entire public comes and says we want to stop. Remember when President Kibaki first came into the office as president, members of the public used to arrest even the police officers on the road. That was concerted effort from all corners. And we really, for the first term of President Mwai Kibaki, may he rest in peace, we saw corruption going down, especially in the police force. So unless now we bring in the entire public, we have the court users committees and we have the National Council for Administration of Justice, where all the arms of government and public, they sit to come up and see how best all of us can work together. If we do need not to attack each other, if we can work together, LSK is a key person here. If LSK could then join us and we come up with stringent, because it is, corruption, it takes two to tangle. Corruption takes two. You cannot be corrupt alone. You cannot say the judiciary is corrupt. If the judiciary is corrupt, there's somebody else who is
offering.
Yes. So we have to stop it from all corners. And therefore, the members of the public, including the LSK, Law Society of Kenya, if we come together and say, let us fight this vice and rid judiciary of corruption completely. It is something that can be done within 1 year. We can have a clean judiciary, corruption-free. And members of the public can join in and we celebrate and say, now we can move forward. So what I'm saying is, it can only be done if we all work together.
All right, as you give your final remarks, we are in the digital age. Social media has become a key component in our lives. So criticism will be coming in often. How are you going to navigate that now that you have a problem with some issues being raised on social media?
We accept criticism. And as I said earlier, positive criticism is accepted, so that it is not a vendetta. Let us stop the vendetta thing. We accept. We accept when somebody goes to social media or come to media generally and says this about the judiciary. If it is positive, we take it positively. And we accept criticism. So it should not be said that we don't accept. We accept. Only that we are against negative criticism that is aimed at destroying the judiciary and destroying the good name. Since Justice Martha Koome came into office, we have seen several changes being made to better the judiciary. For instance, right now we have total e-filing system, which has reduced corruption by very high numbers. Because previously you had to come to court with your papers, queue, and somebody must look at you with good eyes for them to accept your papers to file. Right now you file it at the comfort of your office. You don't need to see anybody, you don't need to talk to anybody. You just file and get a receipt, you pay at your office. So we must really appreciate the gains and the good things that has been done under the leadership of Justice Koome, so that we just need to better them and work harder to improve on them.
Okay.
And we really appreciate criticism, especially positive criticism. Negative criticism, we don't buy into that. we really will get that and oppose that if it is negative. But positive, we even called, when LSK had this positive criticism, we called the president of LSK and we met the Council of Kenya Magistrates and Judicial Association and the Council of LSK. We had a meeting. And that is positive. And we came up with several positive issues or ways of dealing with these problems. So these are things we accept.
Okay.
Yes.
Tom Makolando, thank you for arguing out your case
Thank you.
as a representative of the Kenya Magistrates and Judges Association. Just in regards to the criticism, not positive, that they have been receiving on social media in regards to allegations surrounding judges and magistrates dipping their hands in the cookie jar, as they say. So he's definitely said they're welcome to positive criticism, even though they will be monitoring some of the criticism that is fronted on the social media circles.
Well, let's take a break.